Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of I Still Love Her, the podcast hosted by me and TT Torrez. Kendra G, oh, she looks fabulous today. And a shout out to our girl Ivy, who is not here with us today, but she is here with us in spirit. And we have a special guest today, Tez Figaro. She is a political analyst and the host of Straight No Chaser. The podcast,
yes,
which is a new podcast that she just launched with both of our good friend Kendra Charlemagne, the Black Effect, which is on iHeartMedia. So shout out to her and her new podcast. Congratulations.
thank you. Today is the launch day, so very, very excited. Straight shot, no chaser. Check it out. Thank you for plugging that. I know a lot of people, conflict, but I appreciate that, sister. Thank you for plugging that, and thank you for having me.
We support each other over here. I know we work for, different media outlets, but at the end of the day, we also support each other. And we've all known each other for many, many years. Like Kendra, Charlemagne, and I basically came up in a radio game together. Yeah. So we never let the friendly competition come in the way of our friendship and support of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely all we got. So that's important.
Yeah. I must say, you ladies look fabulous today.
Hey, listen, I was covering up my breasts. I'm gonna put you on. I was like this. I was coming like a good Christian woman. And Dad said, "Oh no, you got your boobs popping."
Well, let me go ahead and adjust. Yeah.
I mean, God gave it to you. I guess you got to bless the people.
Yes, that's right.
With the two gifts the Lord gave us. Okay.
I love it. I'm sorry, but my girls ain't out today. They are covered up with a Future t-shirt, but it's cool though.
And it's important that they see. You can have brains, booty, boobs, all of that, and get the bag.
That's the bag.
Everybody can have boobs, but who can get the bag? So that's important.
All the B's, business, boobs, and bags.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. So Kendra, I'm gonna let you go ahead and kick it off.
Now I was gonna say, well, Tez, I'm in Chicago, so I wasn't as familiar with you, but it's so crazy because TT told me that we were doing the interview with you, and then without even realizing it, I watched a video that Charlemagne posted of you yesterday. It was the day after the first presidential election, and you were trying
debate.
Yeah, debate. Thank you. And you were getting them all the way together on Fox News, honey, all the way. So I want to just talk about what you do and your platform and how important you feel it is that you make sure your voice is heard that represents so many people who think like you in those moments.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for checking that out. Shout out to Charlemagne. And what's so interesting about that post, and I just want to share this just because it is so important that hip hop knows that this demographic matters. I've always talked about hip hop and politics, not because I just quoted on the air, but because I'm a poet myself. I'm a lyricist myself. I am hip hop. I've lived that life. And for such a long time, people said that political, colleagues that I've had, people that I've worked with that have ran for office have always said that this demographic is not worth it. They don't vote. Why, focus on those who for sure will go to the polls. And it's always been in me and my call and my purpose. And this is why October is so important. 10 means see those enemies no more. 10 really does mean complete. It is why Pharaoh had to ask to let his people go 10 times. So 10 is very significant. Today is very significant on October 1st. And I'm saying all of this to say that one clip, I did a comparison yesterday to Charlemagne's clip that he shared that was up for 16 hours. Out of 16 hours, he has 3.6 million followers. We received almost
400,000.
Yeah, 420,000 plus views. Now compare that, and I said that's about the political power. Compare that to 50 Cent, who shared, and I didn't even know he shared that post. It was an article about Snoop's comment about power and how they changed the narrative on power. So I said, just let me go check it out. I had insomnia last night, so I just went and looked. And 50 Cent has 26 million followers, I believe, on Instagram. And that post did about, I think, 230,000 reactions. And the post has been up there for 2 days. And it was between Snoop, who's obviously a megastar, 50 Cent, who's obviously a megastar. I do not say this to shit on power. It's not about, we did better. That's not what it's about. What I'm trying to draw people's attention to, that the streets, they're hungry for this game. imagine us, that's pretty much like going double platinum, because that's not including, shout out to Willie D who shared it. I know he got 20-30,000 views. I got the same on mine. People that reposted it, TT, so forth, a lot of influencers that reposted it, not including Facebook. We went double platinum on just that 1 4-minute clip, not because they know me, because a lot of people didn't know me, not because I'm some name, but because of the content, because of the information. So it tells me that the streets really want to hear this. And it also tells me that it was important that they knew somebody was fighting for them on Fox News. Anybody can go, and this is no shade to any other commentator. It's about 20 or 30 of us when we talk about national commentators on national cable news. It is a difference. It's one thing to have a show or a radio show or whatever. But when we talk about the national outlet, MSNBC, Fox, and CNN, it's probably only about 30 of us that are on often, regularly enough. This year alone, somebody told me, I didn't even know you were on Fox. Well, this year alone, I've been on over 75 times, close to 80 times. I've been on for 5 years straight. You never hear about it because you only hear about the primetime shows that cause the most controversy, the most racist things. You don't realize that it's somebody there literally every hour on the hour, probably not with those shows all the time, that are fighting for either left ideas, liberal ideas. And I'm probably one of the few that actually independent, Black, and very clear about who I stand for. So after the presidential debate, people really, I told Charlamagne, this is one you might want to share, because people really needed to know that somebody was fighting for them in those spaces.
But see, that's what drew me to you, because I followed you through, Charlamagne, but what really drew me to you is the fact that you will go on a platform that is so left in their thinking and spew so much craziness in our community, and take them on head on and stand strong in your opinions. And you cannot be swayed, or you do not let them cut you off. And I was like, yo, she is really, really powerful.
And you know what the criticism, and that's how Charlamagne, when he first told me to come to Breakfast Club, said, you talk about Fox all the time. Why don't you let me come on and explain, because at that time, a year or so ago, he was literally talking about Fox all the time. And I said, why don't you let me come on and explain why I go there and why I do what I do? Because anybody, I do gang references all the time because I grew up around gangs. It just is what it is. Anybody can bang in your hood, but who goes over to the other territory? Who speaks to people that's not their choir? Who goes and challenges? And TT, with also people at Fox, they find me, they tolerate me. They find me tolerable. They find me objective enough to at least hear what I have to say. They just don't follow me. So my numbers, if you go look and see, okay, you just have 30,000 people following you, it seems as if I don't have a big reach. Well, the reason why is because the people that I'm in front of the most, Fox News has not just the #1 cable outlet, but the #1 basic cable network, period. They beat everybody from ESPN, the Home Guard Network, Nickelodeon, you name it. We are touching close to 3 million people every time I'm on that camera. In addition to when they populated in their social spaces, in addition to when Yahoo picks up almost all of my commentary, which is #2 for online readership. I am reaching a lot of folks, but it doesn't mean that when those people hear me, that they come back and say, hey, this is somebody I want to follow on Twitter, or this is somebody I want to follow on Instagram. They don't want to hear what I have to say all the time. They'll come follow me, but what I find is I look at my data, that they unfollow me too. Once they see that I'm black on bliggity black, then they say, oh, okay, we thought she was somebody different. But I am the same. The confusion is because I challenge Democrats, and I get this from the Black side. You over there on Fox challenging the Democrat. Well, that's because I'm letting our enemies know, the opposite side know, that we're being abused in this house. And what I've always understood about a domestic violent abuser is it only matters once the police knows, once the family knows, once somebody else knows outside of the household. That is when their behavior changes. As long as I stay in the house and keep getting my ass kicked, it's all good. But the minute I start talking about it at the church, and the minute I start talking about it in various spaces, that is when the abuser now has to change how they handle me. That is why growing up, all of us have generational curses and families that said what goes on in this house stays in this house. That was a way of, one, keeping our business private, but a lot of that, TT, was about making sure that we don't tell the things, the pain and the struggle that we're dealing with inside the house. So I go to Fox News because I know that when Joe Biden is trying to reach white Republicans, anti-Trumpers, when he's trying to reach independents, when he's trying to reach the white working class, that is his demographic. So when I say, Joe Biden, you need to do something about the crime bill. See, they only read what they see. So they say, oh, all black people are on board with Joe Biden. When I say you need to do something about the crime bill, you need to, one, repent, replenish, get something back to the homies that had to do that time, and repair it, do something moving forward. The Fox News viewers say, well, I guess all is not well in Hollywood. Maybe we should, maybe we should look at another candidate. Maybe we should do something different. And that is the threat. So it's very strategic what I do, but it also is who I am, TT. I am independent. I don't ride with either party. And I think that's important. And that's why now shut up, I talk, but it was so important to keep saying I'm not Joe Biden. The reason why I kept saying that, and a lot of people went in the comments and said, well, I'm not Joe Biden for me. I said that because one, how we always say, hold up, you getting me twisted with somebody else. But it was really important that they knew you can drag Joe Biden across the stage, but some of us are here for it. I think Joe did a better job than what I expected, but it was really important for them to know we're not all the same. Some of us are about that business.
It's so much that we have to unpack here, and I do want to unpack. And Kendra, I know there's a lot going on in Chicago too that I would love to unpack as well, because Chicago seems to be Donald Trump's go-to targeted state. Every time they talk about gun violence or any type of violence, he loves to point fingers at Chicago. And I honestly feel, and Kendra, you live in the city, so you can tell me differently, but I honestly feel that the city is so corrupt, the politicians, the police force, that they're inciting a lot of this violence. And I don't know this to be 100% true or not, but I just feel like, where are they getting the guns? Where are the jobs?
Well, a couple of things. So, via my media career, I'm currently now in Chicago, right? So I've lived several different cities. I've lived in Atlanta, I'm from Connecticut, Virginia, Buffalo, New York, Philadelphia, also LA. And when I say that to say Chicago is the city to me that as a Black person, your income truly determines your Chicago, where it's very based on the amount of money you make, and it could be night and day. A lot of people that live in the urban areas that you guys see on the national news in Chicago, some Chicagoans, sometimes they get offended because that's only kind of one portion of Chicago, but it is a portion of Chicago, right? And I do feel as though the light needs to be shown in that portion, because you said it correctly, TT, like these areas are underprivileged, under like school values. There's no jobs in those areas. It's pretty much it's set up for you to fail to a certain degree, right? So when you have that, and like you said, there's things that never talk about. I do believe there's corruption going on in political ways and the police department. And of course, those things don't go on the news. How is it that all these drug charges, or not even that, how is it that all these murders that happen go unsolved? No one gets arrested.
When there's so many camera phones and so many people looking. And so like how does this even happen?
Well, but that's the question. But then I think, just bringing it back, to me, that's a whole nother dialogue outside of the political, conversation, because there's so many different levels to it, But I feel as though Donald Trump uses it as one of his ways to make points, because at the end of the day, when there's bad things happening in Chicago, we're a Democratic state. We have a Democratic mayor. We have a Democratic governor. So it's his way to say, these Democrats can't even control their own cities. They can't even control their own state. Why should we listen to them? So it's deep. But not to go off of that, but to kind of go back to something that you said, Tez, I don't really feel as though I'm a Democrat either. I definitely don't subscribe to being Republican either. I just want to be an individual that can make a decision based off of all different things, because I might rock with a person who might be a Republican, that might rock with another person who might be a Democrat. So I really just hate this system that we have, because I feel like right now what we're dealing with is, some people don't really love Joe Biden, but you hate Donald Trump so much, you're just going to vote for Joe Biden, right? It's like Donald Trump ain't even an option, so I'm going to vote for Joe. But that's not because I love Joe. It's just because I got to choose him or him, and I'm not going to choose the other. And it's a scary place to be. And I just feel like, I honestly, and people keep telling me to stop saying this, I'm voting for Joe, but I'm not sure if he's going to win.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, you not saying it is not going to make it not true. You know, what I tell people, you know, being an analyst, I'm giving you the lay of the land. It's not always my opinion, like what I personally think. They introduced me as a political analyst, and the data shows, based upon historic and what we see and the strategy that they're putting in place, shows things to be favored towards Donald Trump. I'll give you an example on what you said with Chicago. They're supposed to find stuff wrong with your opponent. That's how it works. Let's take this back to Democrats. And this is where people get mad when I challenge Democrats. Why are Democrats, I lived in Chicago for about a year. Why are Democrats not talking about the good that's going on in Chicago? Do you actually think that there's nobody that has no programs that are trying to get something accomplished? Do you actually think that there's nobody that is working with inner city schools? Do you not think there's nobody that, you know, that have nonprofits that are feeding folks that are hungry, that are giving people shelter? Those organizations are all around Chicago. Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the country, meaning blacks over here, whites over here. It was amazing to me how people that I met in the south side of Chicago had never been to the west side. Literally, they said, we don't have to, everything is here. So I blame this on Democrats. If you want to change the narrative of Chicago, it's not that good things are not happening. They're spending so much time talking about, well, he keeps talking about Chicago, he keeps talking about Chicago. Well, what the hell are you talking about? He's a master media manipulator. I own a communications firm. When somebody brands you a certain way, you come out with a counter. If they're saying, hey, nothing is getting done in these cities, it's law and order needs to matter. You need to do something about police brutality. Why didn't Joe Biden say, well, since the murder of George Floyd, over 100 cities have put police reform in place? You know, why are we not talking about those things? Why, instead of saying, listen, when he says, well, you know, you're the radical left and you're going to change everything and you follow Bernie Sanders, why not say, it's not about me following Bernie Sanders policies. Right now in Florida, there is something on the ballot, a measure on the ballot that says that you can vote for $15 an hour that will be effective in 2024. Why are they not talking about those down ballot initiatives? One, that gets people to the polls. It makes it tangible to them, because no, everybody's not going based on Biden and Trump. But if Florida knew that it'll be $15 an hour in 2024, is that not something you would vote for? My daughter's 13. I lived in Orlando, Florida too. I've lived in 5 different cities. If I was still in Orlando, that would make a difference, because she would be making minimum wage at 17. So that will make a difference. Does California know that there's a measure on the ballot right now that says you can vote, that will allow parolees the opportunity to vote? So while we're talking about how Florida, felons got the opportunity to vote and they pretty much took that back, why are we not talking about there's another opportunity for us to get it this way over here? Why are they not talking about Colorado just unleashed one of the most progressive policies, period? We're talking about in place right now. Why are they not saying, hey, even though Texas is a Republican ran state, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, which is a Democrat, banned no chokeholds immediately after George Floyd? This is on Democrats. This is on them to shape their message. It's never on your opponent to present the best message. What I see on our side is bitching and complaining about what he's doing, and he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's a gangster. He pushes for his demographic. He don't give a damn about what y'all say. That's why on that stage, he was not going to condemn white supremacy. He is pushing to his base. I can't be mad. That's always
who he been. That's always who he has shown us to be.
And guess what? That's how it's supposed to work. But Democrats do it too. They just don't do it outwardly. When we talk about the black vote, they appeal to their base when it comes down to actually getting policy. But when it comes down to singing and dancing and doing creative, fun ways to vote, they appeal to us that way, but they never really appeal to us from a policy. We just don't pay attention because Trump is in our head 24/7, day and night. And so the reason why, Kendra, he has an opportunity to win is because their strategy is stronger. They're knocking on 1 million doors every month. Joe Biden's knocking on 0. Even if they had to speak from the curb to say, listen, put a flyer on somebody's car. Hey, I'm just stopping by. I just wanted to stop by. They're doing nothing literally at all. They're knocking on 1 million doors per month. On that stage, President Trump made sure that he talked about all of the swing states. He made sure he strategically put Ohio and Georgia and with the things that he's doing strategically. There's 8 swing states that make a difference right now with this presidential election. Joe Biden didn't zone in on that. He dominated all the way through. He kept interrupting. He kept pushing the line. When he was down on the ground, he stomped on his ass even harder. He took him out all of his box. That's how gangsters move. Democrats are either going to say, you either going to move like gangsters, because they damn sure do behind the scenes. You either gonna move like gangsters or you not. Trump is doing exactly, well, he represents all the people. That's never how it works. You represent this idea that you represent us all and all that, that's a damn gimmick. It's the biggest gimmick that we have been sold as Black people ever, because that is how we constantly find ourselves at the bottom. You represent who put you in office. That's who has the power. That's who has the strings. The Hispanic community, they vote 50-50, almost 50-50 down the line.
Because they treat their votes like an independent.
You damn right they do. And that is why now in the fourth quarter, when it matters, that is why that demographic is being reached out to more with actual exchange and policy and what can we do? Because they know damn well that Hispanics in Florida do not vote like Hispanics in California. They proved that with the primary. Hispanics in Florida, they don't want no parts of socialism, nothing that even appears socialist. They went for Joe Biden. Hispanics in California, liberal, all the way left, went for Bernie Sanders. You have to move with them different. You got to talk different. You got to present different policies, because they have made a point to say that we will not all line up behind one person. We take pride in that. We think it's being collective and unified and all coming together. That was what Martin Luther King's intention was when he built that, you know, the coalition of the church, because that was the way they got things done. That has changed. That's over 40, 50, 60 years ago. We have to move differently and strategy wise. If nothing else, in the Democrat primary, we should be splitting the vote all the way down the middle, period. Even if you're just splitting it just because, so that we can have more leverage in the fourth quarter when it comes to the general. They don't have to give us leverage right now, because they already know they got 90% of Black people sold up. So leverage for what?
But what do you think when you have a person like Donald Trump, where it's like, I agree with a lot of things you're saying, but it's like you just can't, as a Black person, as a human, I'll take Black out of it. As a human being, I just can't vote for Donald Trump. So is it wrong that I then vote for Joe Biden? Because in my soul, like, I would vote for Mickey Mouse before I voted for Donald Trump, like, for real. And so, not saying that the Democrats don't have to work for it, because they should still have to work for it. But in this narrative of, we need to make sure he's not president anymore, is it wrong to push the narrative? Okay, Joe Biden's not our favorite, but still vote for him?
I mean, it's the truth. We're dealing now with the cards that we've been dealt. You know, my question is, what do we do the day after the election? People don't want to have this conversation because they say, well, somebody's going to hear you and they're not going to want to vote. Well, I mean, that's not my problem. That's the Democrats' problem. They need to get their shit together. We know we can't vote for Trump. That's already understood. My question is, how do we move forward the day after? The reason why I don't say on cable news, you need to vote for Biden or you don't need to vote for Trump, is because once I say vote for Biden, I'm held accountable for everything that Biden does. Like in that clip that you saw, when they said reconcile what Biden said versus what, I don't have to reconcile a goddamn thing. Excuse me, I don't know if we can cuss or not.
Yeah, you can.
But I don't have to reconcile a damn thing. If I was a surrogate for him, that would be my job, to reconcile. I would be like Simone Sanders. Oh, well, what Joe Biden meant was this, and what Joe Biden meant, hey, man, I don't work for none of these clowns. I'm telling you what I say. And so it puts them into a corner where now they have to deal with me on the issue head on. So it's not wrong to say that we're in the fourth quarter. You got to make some type of choice. What I say is, and we know that Trump is obviously not the choice. What I want to know is, did we learn our lesson? Did we really learn that the day after, we need to be figuring out how to make sure that we get more? Or do they walk away saying, well, once again, we know they'll fold? Because there are people out there that say, let them get another 4 years of Trump and another until they get it. There's people out there that are willing to pay that cost. You know why? Because they've already lost it all. So they don't give a shit about what he's saying on Twitter. That doesn't fear them. This clutching pearls, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying he's so presidential. What is the other world, what the world's gonna think? People in the hood don't give a damn what Iran think, how they think of him or who or Brandon. They don't care nothing about that. What are you gonna threaten them with? Being poor? They're already poor. What are you gonna threaten them with? Losing their house? They've already lost it. I've lost mine 2, 3, 4 times. Did it, done it, do it again. What are you gonna threaten them with? Not having money? already don't have money. Where's the threat? If anything, they found it hilarious. So this idea, there's a big difference between those who really fear Donald Trump versus those who like, I don't give a damn if the Proud Boys want to come to Southside Chicago on 63rd. If you really proud, meet us on the South Side then. Since y'all don't like violence, since y'all keep talking about Chicago violence, and since you say the Proud Boys are all about stopping violence, send them to Chicago and let's see how it work out. Because there's some people on 63rd and some people on the South Side that's saying, baby, come with it. Let them go work it out with the Gangster Disciples. Since they're the ones that can get it all together, let them come. Because the Gangster Disciples are saying they're not afraid of no damn Proud Boys because they know they're going to be about the business. They're not afraid of Trump being in because they wasn't doing well under the Obama administration. So the only people that are afraid are people that are middle class, are upper middle class, that feel they're going to lose something. Those who have already lost don't give a shit. And that's where the disconnect is.
Yeah. So what do you say to people that watched that debate last night, the other night, and really felt like how the commentator felt when she said on CNN, this was a shit show. And Trump really sending a bat signal to white supremacists saying, do what you got to do. Which to me, that was like, wow, is he really telling them to intimidate people from not voting? Is he really telling them to show up at the polls and cause chaos? Like, break that down, because that
very crystal clear. But I like my races without the hood on. So some people they like to cover it up. I'm with it. Are you telling them to come with it? Okay, cool. Because I'm gonna send a clear signal out to every Blood and Crip and Gangster Disciple that I know, and I'm gonna tell them get ready to pull up and let's go ahead and handle this business. So for me, it does. Oh, that's how y'all doing it. Thanks for keeping us on notice. I'd rather that than somebody sneak up on me and do a drive-by. Personally, for me. So I like putting it out there, because when I see Joe Biden saying a couple of weeks ago that he only he survived the pandemic because Black women were stocking shelves somewhere, which is basically saying that he see Black women as grocery shelf stockers and not the ones who's literally saving his ass, like Kamala Harris. What's that to me? What kind of signal is that? Who is he signaling to? So these undercover racists. And all of his career that he's talked about for over the last 40 years, all of the racist shit that Biden has said. So I see two sides of the same coin. I mean, honestly, do I see one that is more in line, allegedly ally with us? Yeah, because if Joe Biden has made a career off being an ally with us, so by default, we're going to get something by default, because he has to cater to that white working class and middle class America. That was always a strategy, which is why, from what we understand, Barack Obama did not want Joe Biden to run this time. You know why? Because they knew he would be vetted. So this is the same guy that was not vetted when everybody was so excited about Barack Obama. All the history that we're dealing with Biden, it was there when Barack Obama was running, this is what I love about this time. It's a scary time for many. It's a lot of anxiety for many, but I'm loving it because I've been pushing this shit for so long, trying to get people to see, to remove the blinders. Trump has removed the blinders. He has made it completely uncomfortable, that he have thrown people completely off their square, that now they don't know how to adjust. And now, and a lot of that is their fear of really seeing, of people really seeing, is this how this really works? I'm looking at you side eye, Obama. Why did you do such and such? People have a fear of understanding how politics works. This is about power. It's not about hope. It's not about what's in somebody's heart. It's not about feeling. It's not about him being our daddy and our pastor. This is about power, period, in a discussion. And if you understand power, watching power shows and everything else and Empire, and you seem to grasp that so well, then understand that's exactly how politics work. It's no different.
I want to jump in real quick, going back to what you said. Oh, sorry about my dog. Philadelphia, be quiet. That's her name. So I want to jump into TT when you said the comment. A lot of people were shocked by Donald Trump not saying he was like stand back or stand by. I wasn't in shock because that's what I expect Donald Trump to say. So I wasn't shocked 3.5 years ago when he became the president, because at that time, I thought there was no way in hell he was going to become the president. I mean, we had Hillary Clinton, whether you liked her or not, she was the only person qualified for the job. Like, he was a businessman. He was a reality TV show star. So I never took him seriously. I never forget the night of the election. I was literally on my way to the gym. I was watching television. Kentucky came in first, and Donald Trump won Kentucky. And I said, a state voted for, how the hell he won a state? So then I remember I stopped. And the whole night I was like, he's really going to become, people are really electing him. And that is when I woke up. I woke up because I thought he could never become president.
See, to me, it was obvious. If you go back, and I'll share with you, TT, I did a poem that I called Blackout 2016, and I did it in 2014 before Trump ever announced he was running, Hillary Clinton, any of that. I knew Trump was coming. How I knew is because I work on the ground. I don't just commentate, I participate. There was a race in Orlando, Florida. Commissioner, I was her director of comm. It was only about 5 of us that worked on her campaign. She had been arrested 21 times with a felon, 21 times. She never ran for office ever in life. She beat out a 16-year incumbent that she ran them, probably had about $2,000. They had $50,000. The incumbent that she ran against was similar to like a Maxine Waters in LA. She had her, division, her district on lock like that. She was able to win that race, beat them like a drum easily because she is a Democrat, but she keeps it real and raw, just like a Trump. She knocked on every single door. She talked to every single person. She talked directly to her base. She did not have a college degree. Not only did she beat out the incumbency, she beat out the whole dynasty. The woman's son ran, who was an attorney. Imagine somebody arrested 21 times beating an attorney. When she ran the second time, 7 people ran against her. One of them was Miss America, literally former Miss America. They ran on the same concept that Democrats are running on right now. We got to change the image, because after she got in office, she had some issues with people around her, not her necessarily, but people around her. And they said, we got to change the image. This is not how we should represent the city of Orlando. We got to change it. We got to change it. So they put in Miss America. What better image can you have than a former Black Miss America? She beat her and 7 other people like a drum. People want the real and the raw, even if it's nasty. So I wasn't shocked. I knew that a Donald Trump was coming. When I did that poem in 2016, when I said you lied and now they know, you eating crow in my flow. When I said you came, we able, you got crumbs when you was finally at the table. I said that. When I said Martin, Brown, Garner, signs coming 3, you don't have to believe me. Read the Bible for yourself. You don't have to believe me. This is prophetic stuff that has been in play. It just, people weren't paying attention. I wasn't shocked at all that he won. And he needed to, because this shit needed to get shook up, even if that means that we are in an uncomfortable place for just a little while. It's kind of like when we whip our children and we say, it's going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. But it's necessary because people have to be disciplined, and it cannot all just be on Trump. It has to be some stuff we got to fix in the house.
Yeah. Do you think that Kamala Harris, because she's the one that really gives me hope, I'm not going to even lie, like she's the one that I'm like, okay, at least she's of another generation, she's a woman of color, she can understand a little bit better. Do you think that she could make a change in any way?
Well, let me speak into that for a moment. When you said give me hope, let's break down the definition of hope. Hope is a feeling of an expectation. Hope shouldn't even be in this conversation. It's a feeling. It is an emotion. I don't care if Barack Obama wrote The Audacity of Hope or not. We shouldn't be hoping shit. What we should be doing is demanding what is required of us. See, that's how they always get us about hope. Hope for what? She's going to be elected by the people that elect her, and she's going to move based upon how those chips fall. If we are not in line to be a part of that conversation, then we get nothing. It don't have shit to do with hope. I'm so glad you brought it up, because when I did it, it said it's a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. It is vague. It is unknown. What is certain? No, politics ain't about certain things. It's about we want this. And I'm not hoping for shit. You're going to do it or you're going to be put out. So even in the very way that we communicate politics, that's how easy it is for them to come in on the pimp game. Pimps give people hope. They give people hope. I know you can do it. You're looking good. Go out there and get that money. But at the end of the day, there's an expectation that's involved, that is an exchange. And if we're not doing that, we're losing.
Yeah, they're going to continue to rock us to sleep.
We'll see. I don't have a hope about no damn politician, and neither should anybody. It's where we placing our bet. I'm going to put my money on this, and I'm expecting a return. It's an investment. And if that return goes down, just like in stocks or anything else, if my investment starts depreciating and I start losing money, I'm gonna switch and move. I'm gonna move around. That's really how we have to do it. We have to think about it that way. You don't appreciate the investment, I'm gonna take my money somewhere else. I'm real cheap. And I made an investment the other day in AT&T for $25. My friend was telling me, you need to invest. And I was telling him, I've been on pandemic for the last decade. I'm self-employed, so I have never really had money to take out and put in other places. Girl, I've been watching that $25 every day. It went down $1.02 the other day. And I said, see, I'm already losing. You know, I don't understand losses. So we have to look at it that way. That is our vote in investment. How does it depreciate? Is it appreciated? Not nothing to do with no hope.
I want to jump in about Kamala Harris real quick, because I think we're all women, right? And we probably have all women friends. And when, as a Black woman, you know, I went to Hampton University, she went to Howard, she went to HBCU. Of course, that gets my attention and I'm going to support her. So going back to when Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump, I really learned that there was men, regardless if they like Donald Trump or not, just couldn't deal with a woman in power. Mm-hmm. Regardless of who Donald Trump was. And I was just like, why are we because at that time, to me, Donald Trump wasn't even an option. Now he's actually a president. So you have to at least give him the president title, right? At that time, I'm like, he's a reality show star. We really having this debate about Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton, but it was because some men, no matter what, just cannot respect a woman in a position of power. So I say that to say that's what kind of scares me, because all my friends, we Black women, of course we holding down Kamala Harris. What about the other gender who just can't respect the woman authority? Do they automatically cancel her out and say, I'd rather have a man as in Donald Trump than a woman?
So sure, that's sexism, but why do we give a damn? What Kamala's team need to be doing is figuring out how to get more women or whoever that is that supports her to the polls. And that is why they should be talking about state and local ballot measures, because there is a group of folks out there that say, I want to see a woman in power. That makes me feel empowered. But there's also a group out there that say, I don't give a shit about that. Barack Obama was Black and I didn't get nothing out of it. So that idea of just having somebody there doesn't mean anything. Daniel Cameron is Black. You know, that was, for those who don't know, the State Attorney General for Breonna Taylor. What did that mean? So that don't mean shit. And you know what happened in Kentucky? He was the first. That is a Democrat state. I know a lot of people, particularly people in the East Coast, they think, oh, it's Kentucky. So yeah, that's Kentucky. No wonder they're Republicans. No, darling. Kentucky is a Democrat-ran state. It's a Democrat governor. There hasn't been a Democrat in Cameron's seat since when? 1944. Democrats lost that. So when you think about him losing that and being able to get in, because I'm sure he ran on, I'm gonna be the first Black, whatever, we got suckered in that game.
Are we surprised? Like, we're getting more details. Like, one of the jurors is saying that the information he put in the press conference is not what was actually presented to them in the actual grand jury. So luckily that juror came out and got a lawyer to press the judge to release the information. But I guess since you have been covering this, I'm quite sure in detail, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, and not even just for clarity. So for those that don't know, I am a senior political consultant with Attorney Benjamin Crump. So what I'm getting ready to speak on is based upon Attorney Crump being my actual client, not from a commentator standpoint, not just from an armchair standpoint, when I say armchair quarterback. I work on all of his high profile cases. So there's some things I can say and some things I cannot. So I just wanted to put that out there right out the gate. From the political side, again, it shows an example on how these seats are elected seats and they are political. Attorney generals can make recommendations to, I don't really want to use the word sway, but they can make recommendations based upon the evidence that they feel on the case that they could try. And so all of the information was never given to these jurors. And so what happened is one of the jurors decided to say, what you're not supposed to do is throw us under the bus. Because although now it's confidential, at some point you eventually learn, who was who. because somebody's going to come out and say something, and somebody's going to defend, like with the OJ trial. All the jurors at some point, came out and said something. So because all the information wasn't presented, that is where, the whistle was blown. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll come to a different conclusion. I want people to understand this too, because although this is where we can have hope and faith, and because again, when we say faith, we're talking about the evidence of things not hoped for, meaning we have faith on the things that we hope for. Remember, we talked about hope being a certain thing, a certain feeling. That's not about politics and who we choose, but we still have to have faith, which is the evidence of things hoped for. So it is important to have faith. We just don't put it in politicians. When it comes to things like this, things that where a lot of this we just can't control. We can control politicians, breaking news for everybody, because if they don't do what we say, we move their ass out. But when it comes to certain things, and a grand jury, for example, the jurors having to make a decision, that is where a lot of our faith has to come into play on will they do the right thing. And so I want people to, one, be excited about the fact that something's about to get exposed, to show you that yes, politics does play a role in how this stuff works out, and that's why it's important to vote. How did a Republican win in 2019? If Donald Trump is all of what they say, worst president ever, he stays in 4 more years, things are going to blow up. Why is it that Democrats allowed, and yes, I'm using that word, allowed a Republican to come claim that seat in 2019? So you might as well say recently. What does that tell you? It tells you there's a groundswell at the bottom of Republicans that will be taking over these state seats. You know why? Because all of our conversations on Trump. So if he's able to take over in this era, in a Democrat-ran state, that should tell you why absolutely Trump can win again. So when you say that to people, they say, "Oh, you shouldn't say that." Saying that don't speak it into the atmosphere. Man, politics is about data. Pay attention to the data. If you don't know it, then you can't correct it. So it's going to expose how important that is. But I also want people to know that if the grand juror still does not come up, because they can present it again, just for folks who want to know, like, what's the next step? If they still don't come to the conclusion that we're looking for, we still have to acknowledge that those things did happen. And it goes back again to, what are you going to do next time? Or do you just get upset and throw in the towel and say, forget it, I'm done, that's why I don't believe in politics? Or do you have a strategy to say, we have to make sure that we have people to represent us? And that is not always Democrats. Please know that. That is not always Democrats. Because I want to see what type of power the Democrat governor is going to push, that if they find out that he did some type of wrongdoing, some type of manipulation, I'm going to be asking, what did the Democrat governor do to fix it? What is within his power?
Could he fire the attorney general? Could he fire him?
I don't know, because the way gangster shit work, let's just flip it. If a Democrat did that and found it was wrongdoing, what would a Republican governor do? Whether he could or could not, they seem to make a way to get the shit done they want to make happen. So I don't know yet, because we haven't got that far. So I don't want to, and because again, I work on these cases, I don't want to throw something out that, could be misrepresentation. I don't know what power he has. What I'm putting out there, or at least I can't speak on it. What I'm putting out there now to plant the seed is, let's see what the highest elected official, who is a Democrat in Kentucky, does if there is any wrongdoing. Mm-hmm. Can he, he can't fire him because it's an elected position, just to clear that up. But can he remove him? Does he have that power? If he does he use it? If he can't, okay, what are the Democrats going to do next time to make sure that it doesn't happen again? Are they supporting other seats under that seat? Because all of these seats bubble up. It's not just federal. You have to get the grant. That's why now Georgia is now a possible swing state when it hasn't been. You know why it is? Because of all the work that was put in on the Stacey Abrams campaign. When you put in work
from the ground up, on the concrete,
it swells up.
Yeah, it swells up. Yeah. So there's a lot of misinformation out there in regards to the Breonna Taylor case. There are just all these misconceptions. People are so not informed. You have people saying that, her house was a house where people ran drugs out of, and her boyfriend was a big time kingpin. I mean, I've seen the most ridiculous stuff put out there on the ignorant, which is my definition of the ignorant internet. And people sometimes see a headline or they see something and they believe that to be true or factual. For those who really don't know exactly the facts in the case, can you run it down just quickly? Because I know we are running out of time, but I just want you to kind of just break down the facts so everybody are clear.
Yeah, that is a very broad. It's breaking down the facts. Would take an entire show. Just outside of this, what I will say is, and I want people to know this, and it goes back to what I said a little while ago with branding. It doesn't matter what she did or what she didn't do. The question was who was in charge that lied on the
Police report.
No knock warrant in the first place. That's the question. It doesn't matter what the hell she did. And even if she did all those things and then some, because growing up, I dated nothing but ballers, period. I mean, I'm telling you what it is. When I say I could have been a Breonna Taylor, I mean, literally, and I'm not ashamed of that. It is what it is. If I got caught up in that, I wouldn't be Tez Figaro today talking to you about politics. So I don't give a damn what she did. The question is, what have those in authority did? And then the question is for us, what are we doing to make sure that we're pushing that brand? They're supposed to go talk about what she did. That's their job. What's our job? To change the narrative. And we don't change the narrative by arguing with them about getting them to think something different. Their mind is made up. We change the narrative by putting the game out there. When I tell people all the time on my show, I say, use it, lose it, can't make you choose it. I'm not trying to make you choose it. I'm just giving you the game. I'm like FedEx. I'm dropping this shit off at the door. There's no signature required. There's no, you ever got a package, you say, damn, they didn't even wait. And they send you a picture now. Sometime Amazon sends you a picture. Hey, your package has been delivered. When I'm literally in the house, you could have knocked on the door. It ain't about that. I'm knocking this, unless it's signature required. I'm getting ready to move this package at this door and I'm gonna keep it pushing. You get it, you get it, you don't, you don't. That's how I move in politics. So I'm not one that try to get caught up. Every now and then I may just go in the comments just to be petty, and I only do 2 or 3 and I only respond 3 times to one person. And then after that, it's a wrap. This is the game. You take it, use it, lose it, can't make you choose it. It's Amazon, it's at the door. You get it, you get it, you don't, you don't. If not, your neighbor can certainly come by and pick it up. I don't give a damn what you think. Because if we get distracted by what they think, I already know what you think. Your mind is made up. Let it be made up. Is our mind made up though? Because it seems like they can take our mind and take our energy and get us on all these different distractions instead of pushing the line. I have never seen a blood. I grew up in 4, 5, 6 Piru. All my cousins was Crips. My first boyfriend was a Crip. Then after that, I went to a blood. Back then, I guess you could say I was busting. They call it busting over. I've never been around no gangster that worried about what the other set is doing. It's always been about where are our weapons? Who's holding our front line? Who's managing our money? How are we holding our territory? It's always been on the proactive, not the reactive. Mm-hmm. Never have I said, that's why this world makes so much sense to me. And why people that don't understand that those worlds are literally exactly alike, it's hard for them to grasp. But gangsters on the street, they know exactly what it is. Gang banging is a territory. Districts is a territory. You're protecting your territory, your money, your power, your influence. Even you can say, oh, I can't believe you're using gangs. And why are you talking about gangs? Because that's just what I am. I'm telling you what I know. It's not that I don't think people can understand different levels of conversation. I'm trying to show you how politicians are gangbangers. Republicans are red, just like Bloods. Let's go back to 1994. How is it that Bloods in Inglewood, where all my homies are from, the real big turf, how is it that they were able to survive in Inglewood being the minority surrounded by nothing but Crips? How did that happen? How is it that back in the 90s when the West Coast rap game was in, it was all about Crips? Why is it now all about Bloods? Why is it now Lil Wayne and Cardi B and all these Bloods? How did they get up in the game being the minority? That's how Republicans move. The exact same way. Democrats, blue, Crips, majority. It's always been more Crips than it is Bloods. But why do people know more about Lil Wayne's gang banging than they talk about Snoop? Because Snoop's time is over. We already know he a Crip. But why does Wayne have more influence? Why now everybody want to be a Damu? I remember a time when nobody want to be no Blood. It was literally putting a target on your back. I say that to hip hop people because I want them to understand this is how Democrats move. Democrats fight each other all the time, kill each other like in the 90s. I'm old enough to remember when Bloods never killed each other. They were a tight unit. Now they do now. But back in the 90s, they never did. Crips always had beef. Same way with Democrats. Beef, trying to make everybody the same. We all the same, one umbrella. That ain't how this shit go. We're not all the same. We can be under all one umbrella, but we live in different houses, and each house has to be stocked accordingly to what those people need to eat. Mm-hmm. So that's the mindset. As soon as we switch that up and understand this is literally like gang banging, then we can start moving differently. We can't be clutching our pearls.
Tez, before you go, how did you make the transition? How did you go from you know the life that you speak of when you were dating Crips or Bloods to a political analyst? Like, what made you want to get involved in politics?
Well, first, I didn't make the transition. They still my homies, so there was no transition. That's first and foremost. And I didn't choose to be in politics. Politics chose me. There were a lot of things that I could have done. I remember you remember the Sprite contest when they were doing the freestyle Sprite contest?
Yes.
The Sprite eye little thing. I tried out for that and I won first round. I can get on this mic. Like, don't get it twisted. I could have rapped. I remember winning a contest with public announcements singing. I can sing too. I ran a business with 300 employees. I was Orlando Business Journal 2-time award-winning business owner with 300 employees going through a recession, going through a divorce with a 3-month on my back, on my hip, living in a city that I had no family and friends. I'm a hustler through and through. I ain't never got in this shit for nothing other than being called. The money's not there. You know, the prestige is not what you think it is unless you're running for a seat. I ran for a seat 3 months and immediately got off the ballot because I didn't want to get a felon. So because somebody they talk way too fly when they think you want that title more than anything else. So there is no transition, you know. And when you hear, again, not trying to plug my show, but when I interview people and I tell people we got everybody from gangsters, politicians, pimps, players, pastors, but I live a little bit of all of it. Yeah, and I live a little bit of, I've lived a little bit of all of that. I'm not saying I was gang banging. What I'm saying is that I grew up in 456 Piru, and when I was 16, I had a boyfriend that was way older than me. I don't even want to say his age, was running from the feds from LA. What I say is that these stitches under my eye was from a Crip. What I say is that there's been a lifestyle that I've been around that I am very, very familiar with. What I say is I've been working since I was 15 and I wasn't dating nobody in high school. I was a cheerleader and all was well and I had a good time, but I liked them ballers, period. So, but at the other weekend, my grandmother was absolutely conservative. She thinks she's a Democrat, but she's conservative. I went to church 50 times a day, you know, breakfast, you know, Sunday school, BTU, evening. That's why I can flip these words. I can go from talking about what the Bible say to talking about what a pimp say, because I just lived a very different, you know, different life. Not so much different than everybody else. It's just my experience. So politics, to answer your question, I was called for this work as a time such as this, because I know that the demographic that really needs to hear this game, that really needs to understand it, that can flip it in a way that they can understand, they've never been talked to. As long as the founder of Crenshaw Mafia, my big homie, the founder, we're not talking about nobody 3, 4, 5 generations. I'm talking about the founder. Long as he calling me saying, baby girl, my G, that's what he called me. What did you say that group was of young people? Y'all call them what? Millennials? Girl, he all in the mix of the race. With Maxine Waters be calling me with information. They said this and they said that. First time ever. As long as Spud the Blood, who is registered for the first time from Inglewood, California, who was paralyzed last year, and I was there by his side for 30 days straight, and right now registered for the first time and said he can't stand politics because he's a first-time nonviolent offender, and he did 15 years off of this Joe Biden policy, and told me he don't want to hear shit about politics because they should have took some off his time. Obama failed him. He has the right to believe that because he did the time. So as long as he now is his politico, all his friends asking him, well, you know, Spud know about politics. Girl, I sit back and smile because I know he said he didn't want nothing to have to do with politics. But by being around me and me explaining and trying to get him, and it was hard because I would give him analogies, be like, why you giving me gang analogies? Like, that's the only thing I can understand. So it's not the only thing that you understand. I have a master's in adult education. I love teaching adults. So I use things that, you know, people that can, you know, help them get it faster. Because right now we got to get this shit quickly. We don't have time for you to go through no training and go through on the ground. And now he beat me to watch the debate. That's what it's about to me. I am responsible for this. And I'll say this as we close. It's not about getting into shit. I've lost more than I've gained. I've lost contracts. I've lost people who get on me for being on Fox or people who hate me for working on certain campaigns. I've worked with Attorney Benjamin Crump, who they say is a black nationalist. I work for Senator Bernie Sanders, who they say is a socialist. And I go on Fox News and they say that's the home of white supremacy. None of those three people are the same, but I am the same and I've always been the same and will be till they lay my body down. And the reason why is because I hold myself to what the Bible says in Matthew 25. When you were in prison, you saw me. You came to see me. When I was in the hospital, you came to see me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was hungry, you fed me. And in the end, the Lord will divide up the sheep from the goat. The shepherd is going to say, who was about the shepherd's work? And sheep doesn't mean being blind sheep and following no man. Sheep means who was about God's work. And that division is going to be known. Whereas you are going to have to ask the question. I always say use it, lose it, can't make it, choose it. But there's going to come a time that you're going to have to make a choice. And for those who are not a believer, those who say, I don't believe in religion, I don't believe in heaven, well, then you don't have nothing to worry about. And I don't either, because if I'm right, then that means if there's no heaven, well, I'll just go into existence. But guess what? What I'm going to say is if I'm wrong, I'll just go into existence. But what about Kendra if I'm right? If I'm right and you will be held accountable and you will have to stand before the king and they ask you, what did you do? Then I'm gonna be straight either way. So the question is, what is it that you've been called to do? How do you move that forward? There's an accountability involved. I've tried to quit this many times. I've been around the burning bush many times. I've lived in 5 different cities. I've relocated in 13 different places. I've lost a whole lot in the last 20 years, period, from 2000 to 2020. I can write a book about it. I'm not saying I've done worse than most. What I'm saying is being assured that knowing that if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not speaking to Lazarus, I will be called. At my mother's funeral, I had them play that old song, and again, in closing, it says, I'm gonna put on a robe and tell the story, how I made it over. I will see his face. At some point, you're gonna have to see somebody. In the hood, they say, come see me. You know, they say, oh, tell them, come see me then. Well, guess what? You're gonna have to see somebody at some point in time. And the question is, what story will you tell? And that's really what my accountability is about, sweetheart. It's nothing else but that.
My sister used to sing that song every Sunday in church when we were little. I'm gonna put on my robe and tell my story, how I made it over. And she used to sing that song until the whole church stand up. And if y'all didn't stand up, she was not stopping that damn song.
That's right. We have to be like that. We have to keep screaming until they stand up. So instead of talking about the Proud Boys, as they said, stand back and stand by, I'm gonna leave the listeners with this. Stand up. Don't worry about them standing back and standing by. It's time for you to stand up, just like your sister. She gonna keep on singing till you stand up. That's what this is about. I'm gonna keep on screaming till you stand up. I'm gonna keep on hollering till you stand up. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be known that I stood up, cleavage and all. So for those who stand up, you can do it all, ladies. Don't get it twisted and confused. Get the men confused. They don't know if they want to watch porn or listen to politics or read the Bible. But one thing I do know is that you're tuning in, and that's all that matters to me.
That's all that matters. One last thing. If you're able-bodied, get your ass to the polls. That's the right. One line that is etched in my brain from what you said. If you're able-bodied, get your ass to the poll.
That's it.
Okay. That's it. November 3rd is election day, and of course, many cities have early voting. Here in New York, it is October 9th. Excuse me. Here in New York, it is October 9th. I'm so excited. I registered my nephew, who's a first-time voter. I registered my little brother, who's a first-time voter. And I have a cousin who's a first-time voter. My sister just got off probation. She finally gets to vote in this election after 10 years.
Yeah. Shout out to Spud, first-time voter after getting off probation. That's right.
Yeah. So I'm getting her registered now. She's like, girl, I got my paperwork in the mail. I was like, all right, so now we can go get registered. So it's a historic election, so they say. We just got to show up, man.
That's it. And the next election is historic, too. The next election is consequential too. You know, when we sell this, it got to be this one. Well, then next time when we say it got to be that one, they gonna say, I thought you said the last one was supposed to be that. That boy that cried wolf thing is starting to not get played. Every election is important, especially in the off years.
Yeah. Kendra, anything else?
I mean, we can talk to you for another 2 hours. So I want to do it. I would just say that it was a pleasure. You were definitely all that and then some. And I do believe that although you said right now it's not that fruitful for you, you have a very fruitful career and money I could just see coming to you because you deserve it.
I receive that, sister. We do have to live, and the people gotta that left wing ideology. We can't, hate corporate, hate money. No, we have to survive. Yeah. I'm just telling the story that it has not been fruitful.
But it should be.
It
should be. And it's going to come. And I always say that too, when people get upset about civil rights activists taking money, like, well, what do you think that they should take money? They're out here fighting for you, like a job.
And show me the check. When somebody tell me, oh, they paying you to say that, show me the check that you get paid to stand up for Black folks. That ain't how it go. If I wanted the check, the people who are getting the check are those who ain't saying shit. The check silences you, darling. It don't make you speak. So, and it definitely ain't never made you speak for Black people. There's no organization that say, hey, go out here and fight for Black people all day, every day, unless, you're a part of a nonprofit and you're a spokesperson and all of that, but you got to stick to their talking points. I'm out here raw dogging it, period, by myself. Yeah. So who paying it? If it is, please somebody send it to me. Cash App it at Tez Figaro, just the way you spell my name. So, but at the same time, I'm not broke, so let's not get it twisted. We can have a whole nother show about that. And then at the same time, I'm not rich either. So guys, stop reaching out. Ain't no sugar mamas over here. Put that since we got our cleavage, I may get a DM or two. So there's a couple things I need you to put in your DM. All of your measurements, all of them, because that is must be reviewed, and I do mean all. And if you don't know what I mean, then you probably, this message ain't for you. Second, have your profile picture. Stop sending folks talking about holler at me. Have all your pictures on Instagram.
Wait, hold on. Kendra has a dating show that is popping.
Oh, girl, I gotta get on that.
No, seriously, Kendra, tell her about your dating show.
No, I thought we was gonna end on the Lord. Now we done tell
girl, we gotta switch it up. You gotta keep up. We go from the Lord to
I know we've been long, but Kendra, you gotta tell her about your dating show.
Can I just say this one thing? Because I really do want them to hear this. Again, guys, because this is important. I wasn't BSing. When you hit somebody up in the DM, already have your photos made public, because I need to be able to see that. I don't want to accept you as a friend and then I gotta accept you. You know what I mean? Like unfollow you once you know it ain't the truth. So submit all of your photos, preferably 3 to 5 in different angles. And when I say all photos, I do mean all photos. And if you don't know what that means, then this message is not for you. And we need all angles on all photos.
Kendra, tell her about the.
And then we will review it and then we'll move forward. No, and have your own money. Stop talking to women out of town, you know damn well you can't get to them. But go ahead.
You're perfect for a show I created. It's called Singles on Instagram Live, Friday, Saturday nights, and it's people just like you who are straightforward and tell exactly what they want. And I have literally people from South America, London, Canada, all across North America tune in. I'm actually dating a guy that I met from Oklahoma back in May. There's a couple that's dating right now from Miami and North Carolina. But I would love to come on the show.
Girl, I probably know him if he's from Oklahoma. That's my folks in my hometown.
Right, Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Oh, not Shawnee. Okay, maybe in the city. Okay. But girl, I would love, and just for a disclaimer, single means not married, just so people know. Because it's always been somebody around. Let's not get it twisted. It's always somebody. I'm not married, but it don't never mean single. Some women looking for men. I'm trying to look a way to get rid of them. I ain't never had no problem getting no man, just for clarity for those who are listening. But you always can submit an application. We always reviewing applications at all times.
Listen, you have to come on Friday or Saturday night. You can pick any time between 8. Where are you based in California?
I'm in Houston.
Oh, you're in Houston, so I'm not sure what time zone that is.
Central.
It's like 2. We'll get the link, but they will love you, and I'm gonna send you. I have people call in from prison. I had a girl last week that was 7 months pregnant. That was looking to date somebody new. Oh, it's all types of people.
Oh, girl, I got you. From politics to the P. I'll use that but I like to use metaphors. I got you from Democrats to the D, from politics to the P. Pastors, pimping, you got it. I got to talk game for you all day long. That's why I'm loving people seeing my personality outside of Fox. Shout out to Charlamagne again for giving me that opportunity. People see me 3 minutes on TV and they think they know me and they don't. You really have no idea of the whole plethora of things, but they're going to get to know me soon, so.
Tez Figaro, everybody.
This was the best, y'all. This was the best ever. I'm enjoying sharing this.
Political analyst and host of the Straight No Chaser podcast. You can check out on the Black Effect on iHeart, right? It's on
That's
iHeart.
right.
Yes.
Black Effect Podcast Network, Straight Shot No Chaser with Tez Figaro. Anywhere you get your podcasts.
Hey,
You like that little radio voice?
I do.
You see that? Did you see how I slid that in there? Trying to give me a little radio. I want to do a real like
Radio
a Saturday
show.
morning. Like when you mix the music
No,
in.
Taz, you like podcasting, you get to be anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
For
that's
video,
true.
you got to be at one location. That's the
true.
downfall.
That's the only downfall, but it's changing though. It's changing.
It is changing.
It is changing. All right, Kendra, we are up and out of here. Until the next time, everybody, make sure you subscribe to our page. You could just click on the subscription there, and make sure you follow us on social media. I love her pod. Okay. All right, everybody. Till next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.